This is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video I'm going to be comparing Pilot's fine and medium nibs, both the steel and 14 karat, and I've got these 5 pens inked up with Colorverse Dark Energy, and I just think it's interesting some of the characteristics that you see in the stainless steel versus the gold nibs. And so I'm going to go through and do a writing sample with each so that you can see the similarities and differences as well. Okay, I'm going to start with my Pilot Prera that has a stainless steel fine nib. And I'm going to do 2 strokes down, 2 strokes up, to the right and to the left, and then we can see how much ink it's putting down. One of the things I like about this stainless steel fine nib, this is the same type of nib that you find on the 78G and the Metropolitan and the Plumix. One of the things I like about it is how uniform the ink is applied to the paper. Next, I've got my Pilot Custom 74 with a 14 karat fine nib. And I'm going to do my loop-de-loops and down, up, right and left. And one of the characteristics that you see here is the upstrokes are much finer. There's much less ink being put down than the downstrokes. The downstrokes are very wet, the upstrokes are very dry, and then the side strokes are moderate wetness. And you see that in the way the pen writes. You can really see it on the loop-de-loops. It gives it a type of line variation that you see that is characteristic of this nib. And I'll talk about that a little more after I do all these writing samples. Next, I've got a Pilot E95S with an inlaid nib. And I was surprised to find that it writes a little bit differently than the Custom 74's fine nib. So downstrokes, upstrokes, side strokes. So I find with the E95S that the strokes in every direction seem to write with the same amount of wetness, and you get a much bolder, uniform line. Next, I have a Pilot 78G with a stainless steel medium nib. A little bit of a hard start there. Oops, Pilot. This is a 78G Plus. Downstrokes, upstrokes, side. So like the Prera, it's writing more uniformly in all directions, but it's writing, the two steel nibs seem to be writing a little bit drier than the gold nibs. And so even though I'm getting a more uniform line here, it's a little bit, the ink looks a little bit lighter. And then finally I've got my Pilot Stargazer with a 14 karat medium nib. So down, up, side, side. Quite a bit wetter. And let's see. It looks like, let me zoom out and then pull it back up here. I had thought before that the upstrokes were a little bit drier, but I think I think this, I guess it must have a different feed than the Custom 74. In fact, I know it does, because the Custom 74 is a number 5 nib and my Stargazer has a number 3 nib. And so with the Stargazer, I am seeing a little more shading, similar to the Custom 74. And so I find that with the gold nibs, I like to use inks that, or if I'm using inks that have more character, like shading or sheening, I like to use the gold nibs. But if I'm using like a velvety flat ink, like a blue black, like Oxford blue or Sherlock Holmes blue, I like to use the stainless steel nibs. I like that nice uniform line. And so hopefully this will just give you a little bit of an idea of how the different nibs perform. The stainless steel nibs that I've used here are kind of the mid-tier. There is another type of Pilot stainless steel nib that's like a step lower than these. It's the one that you find on the Pilot Petite 1 and the Pilot Varsity. My sister swears by the Pilot Varsity. She's a big fan of it. She likes to use it at work. And so I find that it performs very similarly to these stainless steel nibs here. It just looks a little bit less premium. Alright, if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.